We are family. We are the Kellys.
What's up, guys? So today's video is going to be about alopecia areata and how to deal with it, or rather how I have been dealing with it. I personally do not have alopecia. However, my 7-year-old son Jaden has had alopecia since he was 4, and it's tough. It is very, very tough. Now, mind you, alopecia areata is an autoimmune condition, and it can be associated with more serious autoimmune conditions such as lupus and things like that. His is not. Very, very, very fortunately, his is not. We did do some tests to make sure that there was nothing else going on, and there wasn't. His thyroid is perfect. Everything else is perfectly fine. So this is just strictly hair loss. Now, if you do not know what alopecia is, there's a few different types. And alopecia is simply hair loss. It can be tied to a bunch of different things such as chemotherapy, getting older, certain things like that. That is still considered alopecia. However, what Jaden has is alopecia areata, or rather what he started with was alopecia areata. He currently has alopecia totalis, which means that his whole scalp is bald. He does still have his eyebrows, and he does still have his eyelashes, and he does have your general like hair on your arms and stuff like that. So he is not at the actual advanced stage, which is alopecia universalis, is I think how you say it. That's basically hair loss from head to toe. You have no hair on your body. It's completely gone. So in 2014, we actually went to a friend's house and went to cut his hair. She had the clippers, so we went over there to do it. Now, when I was cutting around the back of his hair, I noticed a dime-sized bald spot, and it was very smooth. It wasn't red. It didn't look like a scratch or an injury or anything like that. So we took him to the doctor just to kind of see, get some clarification as to what was going on. Now, his doctor told us that it was either ringworm or it was alopecia. And so he gave us a topical cream, and we used that for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. And he basically said if it's not ringworm, it's completely harmless. If it is ringworm, we'll start to notice some hair regrowth and stuff like that. We saw nothing. So at that point, my pediatrician sent me to a dermatologist just to confirm alopecia, and she did, and it was confirmed as alopecia areata, which, as I said, totalis is the whole scalp, universalis is the whole body. Alopecia areata is just small, generally round patches around your head, and that is what he was diagnosed with in 2014. So when we first found out, our initial reaction, to be honest, was it'll grow back, it's no big deal, it probably won't be that bad, because that's what we had read, that it's so unpredictable. Some people develop the full-blown universalis in 3 months, and some people deal with the alopecia areata for a month and it grows back, and you never see it again. We had high hopes that that was our case, and it was not. He started to get more patches all around his head. He was not in school yet, but we were worried that going into school in a few months, he would deal with the bullies, and he would deal with your general, you know, mean kids who just don't know what's going on. Well, that didn't happen, thankfully. When he went to pre-kindergarten, he only had a few patches, and I kind of kept his hair at about 2 to 3 inches long, so that you couldn't really tell that they were there. As the year went by, they started to get more prominent and you could see them more, but the kids didn't really pay attention to it, and it didn't cause any issues. Now, going into kindergarten, I actually informed his teacher what was going on so that she would have an idea in case some kids asked some questions. And, you know, she informed me that kids don't pay attention to stuff like that. She said that she's had kids, you know, with more visible types of issues and, you know, I guess worse, I hate to say worse, but I guess worse conditions, and the kids don't bat an eye. They don't really care. So that was awesome, and that was also very reassuring. So when he went into kindergarten, he really, again, had no issues, which was great, because my biggest concern was the bullies and people not understanding it. And, you know, bullying is a big thing with kids now. So I just didn't want him to feel like he wasn't good enough, or like he had something wrong, because in all reality, there's nothing wrong. He has no health issues. He's perfectly healthy. It's 100% just hair. It is only hair loss. That is the only issue that he has going on. Now, he is actually in 2nd grade now, and while he does have the totalis where his entire head is bald, we still don't get too many issues. There were a few issues in 1st grade with a few kids teasing him, but at that point he still had small patches of hair. He had about, I would say, 80% bald, 20% hair. So we tried to just keep it very low so it was less noticeable, and you know, we could just kind of roll with it, and it wouldn't cause a big issue. Throughout 1st grade, it actually moved into the totalis where his whole scalp was bald. And I personally think that, especially for a little boy, little girls may be different because they can wrap their hair up and they can hide the small bald spots. With a little boy, it's almost easier in our situation, and in our case, it's almost easier for him to have the totalis, because I feel like every 2 to 3 days I was shaving his head, trying to keep it all even, and with the totalis, it just doesn't grow. So it's easy, it's quick, it's easy. People know now at this point what he has, and they associate it with him, and it's not a shock when they see him. It's our new normal. I mean, he's had it since he was 4, so we don't really have that many issues anymore. It's pretty easy to deal with at this point. Now, when we first found out back in 2014, we started out with some cream, and it was a steroid cream that they told us, you know, some patients see a huge result, some patients don't really see anything. With the cream, we started to notice some hair growth in about a 1.5 to 2 weeks. So we were hopeful that, okay, this is working great, this is the answer, this is going to help his hair grow back. You know, we were very, very hopeful. However, more spots kept popping up, and the amount of hair that was growing was almost just kind of just falling out again. It wasn't really a big growth enough to really continue to put this cream on him 2 times a day. It just was becoming, we just noticed it wasn't working. So we actually moved on to steroid shots, and that sounds really scary, but to a 4-year-old who's trying to impress his doctor, he was amazing. His doctor used to call him Little Superman, because he would sit there with a straight face, and he had at that point 2 big spots. So it was one right here, and it was one in the back of his head. And so he got about 12 to 16 shots in each spot, and it was just surface level, so it was right underneath the scalp, and she would just kind of put a little bit here and there. We saw, again, a little bit of growth with that, but not enough for me to feel comfortable with continuing with the injections. It just was not enough growth. It was not enough success for me to say this is okay to continue to do every month. So we kind of mutually made the decision, you know what, it's fine, we'll just kind of see what happens. And that's the thing with alopecia, no one knows. The steroid shots could have worked wonderfully for 6 months, and then all of his hair fell out. And that's just the reality of alopecia, and that's something that a lot of people have a hard time with. I've gotten a few messages from a few moms and other people with alopecia just kind of saying, like, how do you deal with this? This is so heartbreaking. And it really, really is. But I just kind of keep reminding myself, you know, it's just hair. It's just hair. We have an identity that is, you know, our physical appearance, and we associate so much with that. That's who we are. That's who we see when we look in the mirror. That's who we associate everything with. But when you really get down to it, you know, as cliche as it sounds, who you are is inside. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what your hair looks like. It doesn't matter, you know, any of that. None of that matters. What matters is who you are on the inside. And so I always used to tell him that when he was younger. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, it's just hair. It is. It's just hair. Who cares? You know, and I used to ask him, name 3 friends. And he would name 3 friends. And I would say, are you their friend because of their hair? And he'd go, No, mommy, I'm not their friend because of their hair. I'm their friend because I like them. Exactly. So why would they not be your friend because you don't have hair? You know, and it's as simple as that. You kind of have to break it down to the simplest of terms. And I personally try to spread a bunch of awareness because I've had a ton of people come up to me and say, you know, what's wrong with him? Is he really sick? Thinking that he may have cancer and be going through treatments or something like that. So I reassured them at that point that no, he is not sick. He has alopecia, totally normal, totally fine, totally healthy little boy. Everything's fine. And I've also had people asking me, could they fix his hair? Thinking that he got a hold of some scissors or some razors and, you know, shaved certain spots of his head. So it's really a matter of ignorance. Ignorance sounds like such a terrible word, but it's just lack of knowing. And it's just because people don't know. And that is the biggest thing for me, is letting people know what alopecia is. And it's not contagious. It's not gross. It's not harmful. It doesn't affect your health generally. It can be tied to other things, but generally it does not affect your health. You know, he's happy, he's healthy. And it's one less thing to keep clean, you know what I mean? And you gotta find the positive in everything. So that is currently how we are dealing with alopecia. It's tough, but it is one of those things where, you know, as much as you hate to look at other people's situations and say, you know, there are people who have it much worse. And if all I have to deal with is, you know, my son doesn't have hair, I mean, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? It is heartbreaking. I'm not trying to downplay that part at all. It is very heartbreaking watching your son's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful black curls fall out. It's heartbreaking. However, he is a boy, and I feel like it is a lot easier for us because he is a boy and they generally have either bald or short cuts. But and I can see how it would be a lot harder for a little girl. I can definitely see how it would be harder for a little girl. But we just choose to look at it in a sense of, you know, it's hair and we'll survive it, you know what I mean? So that's just kind of my take on everything. We try to find the positive in all of it. We try to, you know, look at the bright side, all that good stuff that they always tell you to do with every situation in life. You really, really have to. You have to take it down to the bare basics. You know, it's just hair, guys. It's just hair. So the next time you see someone who may not have any hair, don't assume that it's something awful. You know what I mean? Like, ask questions. I think that for the most part, people are totally fine with asking questions. I'm totally fine with people asking questions because you don't know, and that's how you learn, is you ask questions. With him, it's pretty easy, you know. We keep him bald and it's fine. It doesn't affect anything. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's been one of my to-do videos for a while now. I wanted to really get this one out there to let you guys know how we deal with it. And then I'm sure there's been, you know, videos and pictures and stuff like that of my son, and those who don't know me personally or, you know, have been following me for a while, like on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, may not know what was going on with that. So that is what's going on with Jaden. He has alopecia. So I will put a few links down in the description box to kind of go a little bit further into detail about alopecia and stuff like that. And as always, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Comment down below with any video ideas or anything like that. Any questions also about alopecia, or if you have any, you know, specific questions about how we deal with it or certain treatments that we've tried, that would be awesome. I would definitely answer you guys' questions. Don't forget to share our videos so we can have more people join the family, and we will see you next time. Bye.